Good morning and good afternoon. Good afternoon in Bhutan and good morning in Italy. My name is Aurélien Lorange from the Coax Foundation, and together with my colleague Miss Kaya Lal, who is in New Zealand, we'll be hosting this match of the day 2 in Group A between two universities, the University of Bologna and Jigme Singye Yonchuk School of Law in Bhutan. So now I give the floor to Miss Lal, who will be the host for this match.
Thank you. Both teams were given 7 days in advance to prepare for the match. The topic at hand is polar resources must be subject to internationally coordinated licensing and mandatory benefit sharing mechanisms. Before we decide on the team positions, let's first get to know the members a bit. So, starting off with the team from the University of Bologna, could we hear from Mr. Marsh, please?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Alessandro Marsh. I'm from South Africa and I'm studying legal studies at the University of Bologna. I'm very happy to meet with you this morning.
Thank you. Now hearing from Jigme Singye Wangchuk School of Law in Bhutan. Could we hear from Miss Sonam Hadin, please?
Hello, my name is Sona Migyong Hadin, and I am a third-year student at the JSW School of Law in Bambusa. JSW is Bhutan's first and only law school, and we're very grateful to be a part of this today again.
Thank you so much. From the University of Bologna, Miss Soldatelli, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Vittoria Soldatelli. I'm from Brazil, and I'm currently studying my master's degree in legal studies at the University of Bologna. It's a pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you. From Jigme Singye Wangchuk School of Law, Miss Dema, please.
Hello everyone, I am Yutin Dema and I am a third year law student at the Jimmy Singh School of Law. We are very grateful to be presented with the opportunity to participate in the day 2 matches as well, and we look forward to a great competition ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now for the final member from the University of Bologna team, Miss Özkan, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ceren Özcan. I'm from Turkey, and I now currently am doing my master's degree in University of Bologna. It's a pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you. And finally, from JSW School of Law, Miss Yangdon, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Kile Yangdon and I'm a second year law student here at JSW School of Law. And like my seniors mentioned, we are really grateful for this wonderful opportunity and we're looking forward to a wonderful match with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your introductions. Now, if Professor Lorange could please share his screen, we will now allocate positions.
Yes, I will share my screen in a few seconds. You will see a wheel. So now you should see a wheel now with the two double flags of the two institutions. You will have two possibilities for this match: to be in favor or against of the motion. The team will be in favor of the motion. We start with the first introduction. So for this match, the team will be against the motion will be the University of Bologna. As a consequence, Jigme Singye Wangchuk School of Law will be in favor of the motion. Concretely, it means that Jigme Singye Wangchuk School of Law will defend the position that polar resource must be subject to internationally coordinated licensing and mandatory benefit sharing mechanisms, while the University of Bologna will be against the motion, meaning polar resource does not have to be subject to internationally coordinated licensing and mandatory benefit sharing mechanisms. So now you will have 5 minutes to review your notes, and then we'll hear the introduction from the team from Bhutan. So we are done with the 5 minutes of preparation. Before giving the floor to Miss Lal, who will give you the floor as well during the debate, I will be the timekeeper, so it means that when you will see this yellow card, you still have 30 seconds in your speaking time. And when you will see the red card, it will be time will be up, and you can finish your sentence. If you start a new one, you might be penalized by the judge for going over the time. So now, Miss Lal, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Now we will start off with the opening statements, starting off with the team in favor, Jigme Singye Wangchuk School of Law. You will have 4 minutes. The timer will start whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Am I audible and am I visible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Then I shall begin my opening statement in 3, 2, and then I shall begin my opening statement in 3, 2, and 1. Esteemed judges and respected opponents, if polar governance is fragmented, then extraction will be unilateral. If extraction is unilateral, then the benefits will be concentrated. And if the benefits are concentrated, then the harm will be global. Therefore, we uphold this motion with 3 arguments. First, we have the common heritage principle. Second, we have the no harm principle and due diligence. And third, we have equitable benefit sharing. First, international law has already confronted the problem of resources beyond national borders. Article 136 of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea has established the deep seabed area as a common heritage of mankind. Articles 137 to 140 of the UNCLOS go further and mandate international control, coordinated licensing, as well as mandatory benefit sharing for these areas. Now, this clearly demonstrates that where global commons lie, the international coordination and cooperation is required. The United Nations General Assembly Resolution 2749 has also highlighted that global commons require collective management. Now, applying this to the polar regions, the Antarctic Treaty, reinforced by the Protocol on Environmental Protection for the Antarctic Treaty, designates Antarctica as an area reserved for peace, science, where mineral extraction is prohibited. So, if prohibition is justified where ecological fragility and global consequences converge, then coordinated licensing is the bare minimum where exploitation and extraction is contemplated. Second, the international law does not allow states to exercise their sovereignty arbitrarily. In the Trail Smelter arbitration case, the tribunal held that transboundary harm should be prevented and that states should not let their territories be used in such manner. However, in the Corfu Channel case and in the pulp mills case, this rule was taken further and the duty of vigilance was highlighted, as well as the importance of environmental impact assessment in light of transboundary harm. Honorable judges, the polar regions where resource extraction takes place leads to ecological risks such as ocean acidification as well as the acceleration in sea level rise. And when this happens, we should understand that when harm was localized, liability principles arose. When harm became transboundary, due diligence came about. Now that the harm is planetary, structured coordination is definitely required. It is the expression of due diligence at a planetary level. Now, third, we have international law mandating states that where humans share resources, their benefits must be shared equally as well. The Convention on Biological Diversity has established fair and equitable benefit sharing. Article 5 of the Nagoya Protocol has mandated that states are to share the benefits of resources with providing states and their communities. Article 10 establishes the international mechanisms required for these transboundary benefit sharings. Honorable judges, the climate governance has always operated on consent and has also respected that these benefits are to be for everyone As of now, the polar regions are under the control of a few powerful and technologically advanced states. If we leave it like this, the gains are privatized, the scientific advancement is commercialized, and it benefits very few people. Therefore, for equity, for planetary responsibility, and for the benefit of everyone, we respectfully urge you to uphold the motion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now for the opening statements for the team against the motion, University of Bologna, you now have 4 minutes.
Honorable judges, we stand before you to oppose the motion. Imagine a village built around a public park. Every family in this village has their own garden, including the 5 family on the park's edge. These gardens are not part of the park. They are the inherent extension of the land where their houses stand. Suddenly, a distant committee arrives. They declare that because these gardens are adjacent to the park, they are now public property. They tell this family that they are no longer allowed to take care of their own soil. Instead, this distant committee, which does not understand the unique needs of these gardens, will manage them from afar. This is what the motion does to Arctic states. It treats their gardens as part of the park, and this is why we must oppose it. Our opposition rests on 3 points. So first, the legal distinction between sovereign continental shelves and the global commons. Second, the danger of replacing enforceable state responsibility with institutional immunity. And third, the protection of the rights of indigenous communities. So first, there is a legal distinction between sovereign continental shelves and the global commons. Unlike Antarctica, the Arctic is an ocean surrounded by sovereign states, which is regulated by the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Under Articles 76 and 77, each coastal state has a continental shelf where they have exclusive rights over the resources. It's only beyond the limits of the shelf that you can find the area, the deep seabed considered the common heritage of mankind under Article 136. And this area is already under the International Seabed Authority, which coordinates access and benefit sharing under the Law of the Sea. Precisely what the motion is asking for. And we do not oppose this, but what we cannot accept is expanding the rules of the global commons to the continental shelves of sovereign nations. Second, we must address the danger of replacing enforceable state responsibility with institutional immunity. Even if we were to set aside the Law of the Sea, which we cannot do, we must oppose the motion on the grounds of due diligence liability. The honorable proposition assumes that a distant supranational commission can coordinate polar resource licensing. However, this model fundamentally lacks the legal accountability that is inherent to a sovereign state. It replaces state responsibility, which is enforceable, with institutional immunity, which acts as a shield. We cannot hold a global committee liable for a catastrophe, but a state can be held liable. And in fact, this is precisely what a 2011 advisory opinion from the Seabeds Dispute Chamber of the International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea has clarified. There is a binding obligation of conduct that requires states to deploy the best environmental practices within their legal systems. And finally, we must address the potential impact on the indigenous communities in the area, because many polar resources are already governed by binding legal frameworks that recognize indigenous self-determination and land rights, such as the Nunavut Land Claims Agreement. And in this case, a mandatory international regime would effectively nullify these local rights. In Sweden, for example, the Nordmaling case has confirmed that indigenous land use carries the same constitutional protection as property rights. What the motion proposes is a form of legal neocolonialism. It removes the voice of the very communities whose survival depends on these ecosystems. To conclude, the motion attempts a legal merger that international law simply does not permit. And if you rewrite the rules and remove accountability, who exactly benefits and who pays the price? For these reasons, the motion must fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That wraps up the opening statements. Now for the first round of rebuttals, starting off with the team in favor, Jigme Singye Wangchuk School of Law. You now have 2 minutes.
Am I visible and am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I shall start in 3, 2, 1. Honorable judges, in response to the opposition's arguments, we have 3 rebuttals. First, now the opposition confuses sovereignty with absolute control. International law has never treated sovereignty as immunity from obligation. UNCLOS, the very treaty Arctic states invoke to assert their territorial claims, imposes environmental obligations under Articles 192 to 194. You cannot selectively cite a treaty for the rights it grants you while discarding the duties it imposes. The Ilulissat Declaration of 2008 makes this even clearer. Member states all embraced international law, affirming that UNCLOS provides the governing framework for the Arctic Ocean. So, if Arctic states themselves accept cooperative obligations under UNCLOS, on what legal basis does the opposition claim that licensing coordination is unlawful? Second, the opposition is essentially saying these regulations and benefit sharing mechanisms will lead to many disadvantages. But this is just pessimism disguised as practicality. Legal complexity has never been accepted as justification for abandoning the rule of law, particularly when the stakes are this high. The ICJ in Gabčíkovo-Nagymaros was clear. Environmental protection is an interest of the international community as a whole. Moreover, the Ilulissat Declaration shows that multilateral cooperation among states is not theoretical. And lastly, the opposition's motion is ignorant of the fact that the international community already requires these mechanisms to some degree. Tropical genetic resources require benefit sharing under the Nagoya Protocol, and deep seabed minerals require licensing with revenue distributions to developing states under UNCLOS Articles 136 and 82. Therefore, this motion does not ask international law to innovate, it asks it to be consistent. With this, we rest our rebuttals. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for the first round of rebuttals from the team against the motion, University of Bologna. You now have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Of course, we most certainly agree with the esteemed opposition. Sovereignty does not mean absolute control over anything. And it's for that precise reason that we believe the current regime works perfectly fine with what sovereign states, particularly in the Arctic, are already practicing. In the Ilulissat Declaration mentioned by my esteemed colleague of the opposition, Arctic coastal states block the need for a new international regime, reaffirming the sufficiency of the current United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Was this because they're greedy, or because there is concretely more to gain from the current regime than any new regime ever could? Let's look at shipping efficiency. Arctic route, the North Sea route, currently reduces shipping times by 40% than what it would be between Europe and Asia. Transport volumes, which have risen to about 100 million tons and are a global asset, is being regulated already by the IMO Polar Code of 2017, which does already set mandatory standards that a new, fragmented benefit-sharing mechanism would take years to match. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. A global body has no search and rescue teams, no $100 million oil spill response kits, no icebreakers. In a benefit-sharing mechanism, the incentive to maintain this $300 billion infrastructure vanishes, along with the incentive to protect it, along with the incentive to protect the environment. Now, we can say that a benefit-sharing mechanism means we all share the blame when things go wrong. But when we all share the blame, no one pays. The question is not whether we want all states to benefit from the immense resources in these polar regions, but how best we do that. And contrary to what the honorable opposition says, perhaps counterintuitively, a new international benefit-sharing mechanism would undermine the already existing benefits the current regime provides.
Thank you. That concludes the first round of rebuttals. Now going on to the second round of rebuttals, starting, of course, with the team in favor. Jigme Singye Wangchuk School of Law, you now have 2 minutes.
Am I audible and am I visible?
Yes.
Then I shall begin my rebuttal in 3, 2, and 1. Esteemed judges, the opposition has made commendable points, but they have misunderstood the very proposition that we are discussing today. They have wrongly assumed that such international licensing mechanisms and mandatory benefit sharings would stifle the economic rights and the sovereignty rights of the Arctic states at present. Well, Now, no one is disputing that Arctic states have legitimate economic interests. The question today is whether those interests can be pursued without international oversight or not, and the answer is a strict no. The principle of common concern of humankind, reflected in both the BBNJ agreement and the broader trajectory of international environmental law, recognizes that some ecosystems are too consequential to be governed by any single state or a group of states' self-interest alone. Arctic ice melt does not respect borders. Ocean acidification will not stop at the edge of an exclusive economic zone. When the consequences of extraction are global, the governance framework must be global as well. Economic benefit and international coordination are not mutually exclusive. Responsible licensing can coexist with development. And what this motion opposes is unilateral, ungoverned extraction. And this is a position that the law already supports. The opposition has also wrongly misunderstood that the present infrastructure of the Arctic and the Arctic regions would be affected by such kind of regimes. Well, that is unfounded as well, because in the end, mandatory benefit sharing and coordination of licensing regimes would only help to improve the existing infrastructure, not dismantle it. No one is saying that these present infrastructures would be removed by the time these regimes are imposed. Well, they can still cooperate and coexist with each other. And in this way, everyone will be benefited rather than a few single states in the name of so called sovereignty. And therefore, we respectfully oppose their points in the name of law and reason. Thank you. I rest my rebuttal here.
Thank you. And now for the final rebuttal from the team against the motion, University of Bologna, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Honorable judges, we agree completely with what the honorable opposition has just said. Environmental protection is of the utmost importance, and benefit sharing is as well. But their solution to the problem is a benefit sharing mechanism which opens it up. Now, I fear rather that what we would be opening up is less an Arctic cornucopia and more a salty can of worms, because the facts and the laws simply show us that internationalization of sovereign claim territories will not lead to more benefits. We can see what happens when these areas are left to extra-jurisdictional authorities. Take the FAO report on the over 26 million tons of unlicensed and illegal fishing taking place in such areas. This happened precisely because there was no enforcement, no real application of the law, the strongest of which is to be found in sovereign states. Stable sovereign licensing regimes, by contrast, generate predictable revenue, environmental protection, and long-term planning. And these are benefits that do accrue to the global market, which benefits from the resources they're extracted. Weakening sovereign control does not increase collective benefit sharing, but it does undermine the governmental structures in place which enable it at the moment, which enable sustainable use. Now look at the US Geological Survey of last year, which found that 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and 30% of its undiscovered gas lie within these jurisdictional areas. Can you imagine the conflict and the disruption that this would have on the world economy if we were suddenly to subject it to a new unenforceable regime? Arctic shipping routes, as I mentioned before, reduce shipping times between nations and consequently reduce fuel consumptions and emissions per trip. And these routes are protected. They're protected by enforceable state regulations. It is very easy to paint a picture of evil states who hoard their resources to the detriment of others. But we need to be prudent and regard the reality of the current benefits we share. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the rebuttal stage of the match. Now on to the concluding statements, starting with Jigme, the team in favor, Jigme Singye Wangchuk School of Law. Here are your final 2 minutes.
Hello, am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1. Honorable judges, this debate is not about whether the polar regions are valuable. Everyone agrees they are. The real question is simple. How should law govern places whose consequences are global? International law already provides the answer. Coordination, assessment, and benefit sharing are not radical ideas. They are established responses to shared global risks, and the polar regions meet the threshold. Their extraction influences sea levels, climate stability, ecosystems, and economic security worldwide. So that is not a local issue, that is a planetary one. And this requires structured governance. The opposition says sovereignty must remain untouched. But sovereignty in modern international law is not absolute freedom. It is freedom exercised within legal limits, especially where actions create external harm. So, if we reject coordination here, we accept a system where powerful states can act independently in a region whose consequences affect everyone while the benefits remain concentrated and the risks become global. And that is not stability, that is fragmentation. And international law was created precisely to prevent fragmentation of shared spaces. This motion does not expand law beyond its foundations. It applies existing principles like the common heritage principle, due diligence obligations, and equitable benefit sharing to a region whose importance is undeniable. The opponents' approach risks allowing powerful actors to extract benefits now, while the environmental costs are absorbed by the next generation. And that is just just shifting burdens forward in time. So let us be clear about how this motion resolves the debate clearly. Our side applies existing law, not invent new ones. Our side prevents fragmentation, not accelerate it. And our side secures fairness across generations, not burden them with the costs. So, honorable judges, for the sake of your children and my children and our children who will live with the climate we shape today, for the communities whose coastline depend on polar stability, and for the credibility of international law itself, we respectfully ask you to rule for the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for the concluding statements for the team against the motion, University of Bologna. Here are your 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Honorable judges and esteemed colleagues, this debate is not about global sharing. It's about legal overreach and erosion of enforceable state responsibility. The honorable members of the proposition has painted a beautiful picture of global sharing, but they respectfully missed addressing the legal vacuum their model creates. The core of our case is simple. Responsibility requires a face. Under the status quo, coastal states have a stringent due diligence obligation. They are legally liable for what happens in their waters. The current system wants to replace this with a distant supranational commission shielded by institutional immunity. You cannot sue a global committee for a localized catastrophe. By removing liability, you inevitably remove the incentive for safety. But there is a darker reality of the current proposal, using the word justice as a mask for modern-day colonialism. By handing all power to a distant global committee, they silence the very people who actually live there, the indigenous communities. Why should a global assembly in a far-off city decide the fate of ancestral lands that are already protected by laws like the Nunavut land claims? This isn't progress, it's a takeover of local rights. As the 2025 Romso-Tromso statement reminds us, local custodianship is the only functional way to protect the pole. We do not need a global homeowners association to tell indigenous people how to manage their own heritage. Do not trade enforceable state responsibility for institutional immunity. Do not trade indigenous agency for global bureaucracy. We must safeguard the sovereign agency of the Arctic's rightful custodians rather than subjecting their future to the whims of a distant global assembly, so that polar resources must not be subjected to internationally coordinated licensing and mandatory benefit sharing mechanisms. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That concludes the end of the match. You are no longer assessed from this point onwards, so feel free to relax from here on. So now we will move on to the reflection and networking portion of the match. So starting off with reflection, the first question is, how did you find the match? What was the preparation like? How did you find the research? And of course, the arguments itself. So starting off with JSW Law, could we hear from Ms. Yangdon, please?
Thank you for the question. So, as for the preparation, we found it at first, we found that the topic was quite new to us, so we found it a bit challenging. But then, since we were working as a team, everything went smoothly since we were able to help each other. And then, as for the research as well, we saw that there were a lot of sources and a lot of arguments that could be made. So we had to really prioritize our best points and bring it and prioritize them. And then for the match today, we found it very fruitful and very enriching as well. We got to learn a lot of new things, and I think we performed very well. Thank you. And the opponent did amazing as well.
Thank you so much for sharing. Now, from the University of Bologna, could we hear from Miss Ozgen, please?
First of everything, thank you so much for this opportunity. I think this subject was very challenging about the preparation part. We needed to check a lot of sources, compare them, and we tried to guess from both perspectives, both pro and con sides, regarding to what to say and guess what the other team will say, and they were amazing. It was a challenging topic, I must accept, but I had so much fun while defending the point. So thank you for the opportunity again.
Thank you. With that in mind, did you feel that you had similar arguments from the opposing team? Perhaps Ms. Dema, did you have similar arguments?
So regarding the arguments, I would say that the sovereignty argument was definitely expected since it was also in our against the motion points as well, and the opposition brought it up beautifully as well. And regarding the other arguments, there were like several data and statistics that were brought about by the opposition and which were a little bit unexpected for us. But this just shows the hard work, effort, as well as the depth of their experience and knowledge. So we acknowledge that there were similar arguments. There were a few like tweet bit differences as well, but overall it was a very amazing and enriching match, especially for this topic that we didn't get to like study in our classes previously. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Now the same question for Mr. Marsh from the University of Bologna.
Yes, thank you. Once again, yeah, congratulations to the opposition because they were incredibly prepared and the amount of law that they mentioned was staggering. I felt the same about the preparation in that we saw this polar topic and it seems quite simple on the surface, and then it was actually, in my opinion, far more tricky than some of these other topics we've done to do with sovereignty, continental shelves, extended continental shelves, the difference between those two things. And so it was very intricate, and I think it was really good for a good debate that we went into the intricacies, both my colleagues from Bologna and the colleagues of the opposition. I think it was a really good debate.
Thank you. Now finally from JSW Law, Ms. Haddon, do you have any reflections?
I think my experiences, as shared by my friends, are similar because we worked together. This was a very collaborative effort. All of the research and the argument formation that we did was done together. And then, of course, our coach advisors were invaluable. They provided us with really good feedback, and we did have practice sessions as well. And their advice is always really spot on. So besides that, I don't think I have much to add. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Ms. Soldatelli, do you have any comments?
Yeah, first of all, as my colleague says, I feel like this was even more challenging than the past topic. It was quite a technical issue, but it did allow us to research in depth these technicalities that are necessary to discuss the topic. And honestly, regarding the opposition, I cannot state how impressed I am. They were incredible opposition. It was really impressive to see your arguments, how complete your research was, because with we did spend a long time researching as well. We know how hard it is to find those arguments. It was interesting to see some things that we found for our part, on their part. So it's nice that we were kind of on the same path. So yeah, once again, thank you for this opportunity. This was an amazing match.
Awesome, thank you. I also see that we have coaches from both teams present. So perhaps starting off with the coaches from the University of Bologna, Mr. Jose Molinelli, how did you find the match as a coach?
Hello everyone. I have to say that the preparation of both sides was incredible, and my salutations and best wishes to the opposition because they did a wonderful job, truly very admirable. And as per our team, I'm truly very very proud of their efforts and everything. So it was a very interesting match. I took a bunch of notes of things that I did not know. So I love watching these matches because one becomes an immediate legal expert in one of these matters in less than 30 minutes. So very much honored to be here and very much honored to see the performance of my team and the opposition as well.
That is a great way of putting it. Thank you so much. Could we hear from the coaches from JSW Law? Starting off with Ms. Sharing, please.
Hi everyone, am I audible?
Yes.
Apologies for keeping my camera off. I'm currently here in Denver, United States. It's 3:41 a.m. my time. So apologies for that. I think both teams did really well. It was very exciting. Like my students mentioned, I think this is definitely a tougher topic compared to our first match. And we had a very great time exploring the topic in detail. So it was very exciting to witness the arguments from the opponents as well. Some of the arguments that we could anticipate, and some of the arguments that we could not anticipate. So it was a very exciting match. So congratulations to both teams.
Thank you for the lovely comments. And finally, Pema Choki from JSW Law, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, first of all, congratulations to both the team. You did very, very well. And like my teammates reflected, we could see the in-depth research both the teams worked on, and we are very amazed at the opposition as well. So, congratulations to both the team. It was such an exciting match to watch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'd have to agree, both teams did very, very well. Okay, so now for the networking portion, our first question is, have you watched other matches in this tournament or previous editions? And is there something in particular which impressed you or challenged you? So again, this is an open question, so any of the team members can answer, potentially starting off with the University of Bologna. So again, have you watched other matches in this tournament or previous editions? And is there something that particularly impressed or challenged you?
If I may respond, one thing I've really enjoyed about this debate competition is, on the one hand, there's the beautiful aspect that you arrive at the debate and you realize, like I said, even in my last debate, that a team from a completely opposite end of the world is now focusing for a week on the same things you are, usually the same pieces of law. But at the same time, each team seems to have a very distinct strategy regarding each match. When we prepared for the opposition today, we knew that they were going to be very, very good on their law, and they did not disappoint at all. So it's very interesting to see how these different universities bring their spirit with them, their way of arguing to each debate.
Thank you so much. Would any of the other members from the University of Bologna like to add on? Have you been watching any of the other matches? Please let us know.
Yeah, I think for our preparation, we as a team tend to watch the previous matches, and specifically regarding our opponents, we were very impressed with how technical and precise they were with their arguments. So we were expecting a tough battle on this sense, and I have to say that I completely agree with my colleague. These competition does allow us to kind of feel connected to universities all over the world, and we can see how our different experiences and shape how we understand these topics and how we strategize our competition. So it's once again, wonderful opportunity.
Thank you so much. Now the same question for JSW Law members.
Hello once again. So regarding the questions, our team did watch the matches of the previous competitions and editions as well, especially because we are participating for the first time, and we thought it might be important for us to not only know the format but actually see the format in real action. Then we decided to watch the matches of those teams that have advance to the maybe to the quarterfinals, semifinals. We just want to see that overall, I would say oral presentation is something that anyone can do, but how can you differentiate from the others? What can you do to make yours seem special, assertive, and persuasive? That is what we were trying to look for, and we found many amazing and competent teams in the earlier editions as well. And regarding today's respected opposition as well, they are the current leading champions of the Hague debate, and we are extremely honored to have the chance to compete against them. They did not disappoint us. They are very competent, amazing people. Thank you.
Great answers from both teams. Thank you so much. And now for the final question. So it is, what skill or aspect of legal reasoning do you feel that you are developing the most through this competition? So again, starting off with the University of Bologna, any of the members are welcome to answer.
I mean, absolutely, research is a very big part of it, because you get a topic which is a very concrete line, and then you discover that there's a whole body of law to get into. And that's one of the skills, of course, which is grueling, but also very interesting. And then there's the moment in the debate, I think, where you have to listen to the other team, because by listening, you realize which parts of what you wrote are actually going to be applicable. Maybe you agree on something in actual fact, maybe you don't on another. So being able to draw on those sources of law and statistics in the moment in a relevant way, yeah, that's, I think, what I'm learning for sure.
Thank you for sharing. Same question for JSW Law, please.
I would definitely say that all of us, I think I can speak for all of us when I say that all of these legal skills, legal research, legal writing, and legal speaking, also legal listening, as stated by the opposition, I think we've developed all of them. Because you get this very broad topic, and it seems like you can cover everything, almost everything under it. So, for example, the earlier topic that we had about IP laws, we had to look at the Berne Convention, the Paris Convention, all of these things that we hadn't even heard about before. So I definitely think research-wise, we're developing our skills around that, and we're also learning how to speak, and definitely because we tend to write our arguments first before we practice. So definitely we're also learning how to write as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you to both teams. That concludes the networking portion. And once again, great job on the match today. Now handing it back over to Professor Laurent to wrap up, and also all the best for your next match.
Yes, congratulations. That was a great second match. We can see already that indeed you are very much into the competition, and you know the dynamic very well. So of course we are looking forward to your third match. You are in the group A, so it means you will be facing as well Tallinn University of Technology and OP Jindal Global University. I mean, for the match you did not have against them, of course. And of course you will receive the results during the next days from the free judge. So many thanks to the three judges as well who have been watching the match, and some of the judges they have already had access to some match already this year, and some will be starting with this day 2 session. So many thanks again, and we keep in touch, and don't forget to keep contact. Bhutan and Italy, maybe it's something you want to keep contact with. I mean, on the long term. if you visit each other, so don't hesitate to let us know, otherwise there will be the networking session after the group phase. So many thanks again, and we keep in touch. Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.